Now, just rest your hands comfortably. And I just want you, as you take the first few breaths, to notice as the ribs soften back on your exhalation, maybe you notice other changes starting to happen. Notice maybe what happens to your head position, your shoulder position. And ideally, we want to start out ears, shoulders, hips on top of our sitting bones, gently breathing, getting those ribs to soften back, maybe incorporating a fogging up that mirror, because that really helps these ribs kind of come together and back, really feeling that action with the gentleness of that softening. And kind of notice if you can get more breath in the diaphragm, less upper chest, more diaphragmatic breathing. And again, the back of the chair helps with me breathing into my back body. And we'll just close our eyes and gently breathe and just kind of notice what happens as we put our attention on our breath. Good. And now just bring the awareness back to your body and kind of notice my shoulders might have started out a little bit more pulled back, really stretching out the upper pec. So as I got my breath to kind of soften my ribs to move back, I noticed the caps of my shoulders softened a little bit. I got a little bit more core awareness. Okay, so as we start here, let's just see where we're at. We've done this standing before. I'm using my arms coming toward the back of the chair, one hand crossed on top of the other, and then we'll switch the other hand on top of the other. So we're going to take an inhalation, breathe in, touch the top of the shoulders. We've done this lying down and standing. Extend the arms. And when I come down, I just want to point out that my thumbs are pointing down so that my shoulders are not pulled back. There's that soft action of the head of the shoulders coming before my ears. And then behind me, behind the chair, as my ribs soften, one hand's on top of the other. Good. And then you'll breathe in, touch the top of the shoulders, work with your own breath cycles, fine. And then crisscross the other way, the other forearms on top. As best as you can, soften the ribs back and keep your ears, shoulders, hips in alignment so that you're not bending your head forward to accommodate the arms coming up. So my arms are kind of slightly in front of me instead of way back by my ears, because if I go too far back, then I pop my ribs. So be aware of this alignment, and your arms and shoulder health will dictate that. Good. So that's kind of our baseline. So everybody come back center. And now we can kind of see when we go back to that, hopefully it'll be a little bit better. So let's do eagle wrap first. So we're going to take our hands into goalposts and then cross one arm on top of the other. We're doing both sides. So I've got my right over my left, and my top elbow is going to press into my bottom into my top. My fingertips are facing the ceiling, but if you need to put a belt between your hands, go for it. I'm going to take a nice gentle inhalation, feel my forearms move toward you. And then as I exhale, my ribs are drawing toward the back of the chair. So I'm not hip hinging. I'm pretty much ears, shoulders, and hips in alignment. I'm just gently taking my forearms forward and exhale, ribs back. And I will say that if you're ever wondering how much, do less, because we're already programmed to be so type A. So just do less. I'm just feeling that gentle stretch, especially with that shoulder that's on top. Good. And then I'm going to start to make slow circles here. And as I make these circles, I feel how my obliques help me make this move, but I'm still keeping my ears, shoulders, hips in alignment. Feel your right big toe, left outer heel, because you might have migrated toward your right side a little bit too much. Good. And then circles the other way. Can you feel how your obliques help you move your arms? Good. And then come back center. Allow the forearms to move forward. Soften the ribs back. Gaze is soft at my forearms. No tension in my head. Good. And then let's slowly release that. And you'll notice the blood flow, especially in that shoulder that's on top. So just gently, and it's funny because just doing that feels like it created a lot of heat in my body, which kind of cracks me up because it doesn't feel like we did a lot, but we did create a lot of blood flow in that shoulder. So let's take the other one on top. Press the top elbow into the bottom into the top. Forearms forward, ribs are back, right toes grounded, left outer heel. Ears, shoulders, hips in alignment. I'm trying to sit on top of my sitting bones so I'm not starting to slouch. But I do notice with my feet up, it's a little bit easier to keep that alignment. And I'm not feeling my hip flexors overwork. Breathing in, forearms forward, ribs back. Okay, and then your forearms forward, reverse the circle if you haven't already. And then just gently hang out, gaze is soft, forearms forward, ribs back, breathe. Good. And then slowly unwind, start to make circles one way, circles the other way. Good. Okay, take one arm forward. I'm going to turn the skin from the inside out. So my fingers are on the outside of the arm so that I can feel the skin turn toward my torso. And then allow that arm to come forward. So that's using the serratus underneath the armpit to let that happen instead of upper traps. You're going to give yourself a pat on the back. So my hand is somewhere right between the upper part of my shoulder blades, but my head's resting on my wrist. So we don't want our head to be pushed forward. So you're still looking for that alignment, ribs are back. You're going to take, first take your hands to the outside of that shoulder and draw that skin toward your ear and then pull the arm up. So I'm lengthening from my lat, lengthening from my side body here. And then I'm going to do the same in the middle of my arm and the same right at my elbow. That gave me a little bit more length on this side. Ground your right big toe, left outer heel. Take your forefinger and your middle finger right into this fleshy part right here. As you breathe in, lengthen this part in your armpit. As you exhale, and gently feel an opening as you press back. And again, breathing in, work with your breath, lengthening, exhale, pressing back. Use that awareness of the back of the chair to soften your ribs. No tension in my neck. I'm just lengthening this side, and you can do less. Very nice. And just hang out. Now to come out of this, we're just going to slowly bring that arm down. And now notice the blood flow in that side. And you might have gotten a little bit of pec stretch in there as well. Good. And then we're going to take the other arm, turn that skin toward the torso as you reach that arm out. Give yourself a pat on the back. I'm looking at my alignment, softening my ribs. I'm going to take that outer shoulder, move it in toward my cheek and lift up. I'm getting a nice stretch on this whole side. Go to the middle. Try not to pop the ribs when you do that. So the ribs still soften back, but it's a side body lengthening. Take your forefinger and middle finger to this flesh as you breathe and lengthen. As you breathe out, gently press that arm back, but without taking the head too much back or too far forward. My head's not really working. I feel the stretch here. I don't feel it in the back of my head or in my neck. Right big toe, left outer heel grounds. That's just keeping us more on our left since we're all too much on our right, myself included. Breathing in, breathing out. Good. We just can't help it. It's just our tendency, especially when we walk. Good. And then slowly unwind. Notice that blood flow in there, the rush of blood. Good. Shoulders forward, shoulders back. Good. And then we're going to do a little pec opener. So take your hands, scoop them up. Again, I'm not going way back by my ears. My arms are slightly forward at a diagonal. Touch the shoulders again, and we're going to reach up. And this time, I want you to lift your forefinger and your thumb a little bit higher. Tilt your chin up toward your hands. Look forward. And then as we come down, our fingers face the ceiling. And we take a breath as we just kind of stretch across the pec. So I'm kind of in a T and I'm going just slightly back, but I'm not going to the point where I go so far back that my ribs start popping. I just get a little stretch between my shoulder blades coming together, my pecs stretching, and then coming all the way down. So we're going to scoop and reach and touch back. Extend your arms up, reach up a little bit more. Now, when I reach, I take everything that I learned from those 2 arm exercises we just did and reach from the lats, from the hip to armpit. So I'm not reaching from my upper traps. That's a very different feeling as I tilt my chin up, look forward, come down into that letter T. My ribs are soft, my ears, shoulders, and hips are in alignment. Right big toe, left outer heel, stretch those pecs. And I just feel a slight squeeze between my shoulder blades, which is exactly what we need to get when we do a push-up, that slight squeeze, and then that release as everything kind of broadens in the back body. So we're going to do one more. Touch and up, reach up a little bit more. Good. Maybe look up, look center, stretch in that letter T, nice pec stretch. All the way down. Good. Do some shoulder rolls here. And I just notice how that even opened things up a little bit more. Okay, good. So I move forward on my chair a little bit because if I do it with the back of the chair, I think the heads of my shoulders go too far back, and we want to keep that softness from our caps of our shoulders right in front of our ears. So I'm scooching forward on the chair just a little bit, and I'm going to grab opposite forearms. If I'm resting my hand on the chair, that's okay. Now, as I take a breath, my ribs are going to soften from front body to back body. I feel my right big toe, my left outer heel. Now, even here, as I breathe, I just did my test to see my range of motion. I'm just going to slowly inhale and exhale, softening my ribs back, keeping this cross as I just turn my head side to side. So I'm not trying to make it deeper. I'm just kind of following my breath. Heads of the shoulders are forward. My ears, shoulders, and hips are in alignment. Right big toe, left outer heel grounds. And I'm just breathing, softening my ribs into my forearms as I turn my head side to side. Good. I really had to take a deep breath in to get those ribs back because they were popping. My knees are still higher than my hips. My feet are still on blocks, and that gets it out of the hip flexors a little bit more. And then slowly come back center, unwind the arms, do some shoulder rolls forward and back. Good. And then we're going to switch the other way. So the other hand's on top. Maybe you grab opposite elbows or just one forearm. Take a breath and just soften the ribs back. Feel your body in alignment, and then tilt the chin up toward the ceiling. That's different than moving with the eyes. Try to do this action as the chin tilts up and the chin tilts down. Is different. If I move with my eyes, I feel pressure behind my forehead. So moving with my chin, letting my eyes follow, feels a lot better. And just go to wherever your range is and soften your breath back into your forearms. Head goes up and down. Good. And then come back center. We're going to take a breath. We're going to reach. We're going to take our arms into goal pose. We're going to inhale up, exhale down to goal pose. Turn our hands down. We've done this on the floor. It's a little bit more complicated, I think, on the floor. Breathing in, reach up as if you're pulling a band, like a TheraBand apart, or you have weights. That gave me a little bit more lat and core awareness. If I imagined as I pull down, I had a band between my hands. That gives me a little bit more core and lat awareness. I come down, that's our shoulder mechanics. Just do what you can. As I come back up, I'm reaching from my lats, not my upper traps. So it's that same action as my shoulder blades kind of move apart. So right here, as I go like this, my shoulder blades are broad. When I'm here, I'm not necessarily squeezing my shoulder blades like this. My shoulder blades are still broad. So I didn't squeeze. Maybe my hands are slightly in front of my cheeks so that I'm not popping my ribs forward. And everybody should feel your triceps work, even though we don't even have weights. You should feel your lats work. Yeah. Good. And do what you can. If your shoulders are really tight today, then you just do what you can. And I really feel how my core helps me pull my arms down. Do a couple more here. Breathing in, breathing out, reaching up. Make sure that your arms are slightly in front of your cheeks. It's going to make it a little bit easier to keep those ribs from popping. Good. That looks good, everybody. Come back down. Do some shoulder rolls forward and back. Good. I want to do another neck opener. Yeah, let's do a neck opener and then we'll do some arm work. So I'm going to take one of my hands. I'm going to make this nice V with my hands. I'm going to reach up and over so the V goes on the opposite side of the ear. I'm going to gently allow this ear to just drop down. I didn't pull with my hand. I just let the ear just naturally fall. I let the ribs come back into the body. So my core is on, right big toe, left outer heel. And this hand is going to come out to the side and it's just going to move forward and back. Maybe the thumb rolls forward and back. And I find that sweet spot where I just get the nice stretch. And I can feel the stretch down the side of my neck, but my arm's not working too much. And this arm is not dragging my head down. It's just there for support. It's just a nice side bend in my neck, just breathing here. And then tuck the chin slightly down toward the chest. You'll feel how the stretch changed. And you may have to change this arm to accommodate that. And then breathe into that stretch. Right big toe, left outer heel, ribs soften back. I noticed my ribs started popping. That's not good for my neck. And then take the gaze down toward the floor, changing nothing else. And notice maybe the stretch went into a different part. I got more down this occipital ridge in the back, but just notice how it changed. Gentle breath, softening the ribs back. Now, this is the important part. To come out of this, do not whip your head up. You're going to take that hand that's on either side of the ear and you're going to draw it to that cheek. So now my cheek is resting in my hand. And then I use the arm to help my head come center. And that feels a lot better as I come center. Once again, go back to those shoulder rolls. Notice what's starting to change. Good. And then take the other hand, make that V up and over, gently draw that ear down. Find that sweet spot with that arm and just breathe into the stretch. Soften the ribs back, right big toe, left outer heel. So there's length here. And I do notice that on any given day, just breathing into the stretch. Usually I'm tucked and I lose waist. So having this waist, but then softening the ribs back makes a difference in how my core supports me. Good. Tuck the chin slightly here as you continue to breathe. Notice how the stretch changed. Notice if you're wandering over to your right side, right big toe, left outer heel. Good. Soften the ribs and then turn the gaze toward the floor, maybe readjusting that hand. Good. And just breathe into that stretch. And again, it's not your deepest stretch, it's just feeling a nice gentle opening. Good. And then you're going to take that hand that's on top, let your cheek rest in that palm, and then slowly bring your head back center. Very nice. Go back to those shoulder rolls, forward and back. Good. And if you haven't already, move to the front of your chair so you're nicely supported here. Take your hands, interlace them between your occipital ridge. Take a breath in, elbows move apart. As you exhale, outer elbows move forward and up. I'm not tugging on the head. I'm just feeling this gentle opening. If anything, I feel more work across the pecs. Outer elbow moves forward and up. Breathing in, extending, reaching the elbows apart. Exhale, outer elbows forward and up. A couple more times as you just feel a nice, gentle opening here. Good. Good. Make sure your toes are not curling under either to help you. Right big toe, left outer heel. Yeah. Nice. Good. And then release that. We're going to take one arm and we're just going to do that swimming arm. So you might have a bent elbow. You might have a straight arm. Just notice your range. We just want to, as best as we can, have the arm, the humerus bone rotate in the shoulder socket, just like we do when we internally and externally rotate the femur bone. To the best of my ability, the rectangle of the torso stays facing you. So just all that happened, we're going to reverse that, kind of like a swimming arm. All that happened is that arm is just making circles in the socket. It might even feel a little bit easier. If you need to bend your arm, and then come back center. Let's try the other side. See the difference in the circles. And at any given time, one shoulder is usually tighter than the other, but just, you can see I'm bending my elbow a little bit to just accommodate this. If you keep it straight, that's fine. But just think about your alignment here, softening the breath back, never holding the breath. Let the breath be easy. Let the ribs move back and reverse that circle if you have not already. Good. Good. Nice. Come back center, take the first arm up, move it at a diagonal. So if it's bent like this, that's fine. If you want to straighten it, the wrist is no higher than my shoulder. It can be lower, but no higher. Turn your head away from that stretch and just feel that stretch on the whole side of the body. Breathing in, breathing out. So try not to pop your ribs forward to make this happen. Right big toe, left outer heel. All I did was turn away from that arm and feel a nice little stretch here. If you want to rest your hand on your hip, go for that. Maybe that feels better today. And then slowly come down. Reach the other arm up and over in a diagonal. Maybe this is your side you're going to work here. Maybe you extend out. Just make sure that you're getting a nice, gentle stretch here as you turn away from that arm. Ribs are back. I notice my tendency to start popping my ribs and hanging forward. Ribs are back, right big toe, left outer heel, turn away from that arm. Good. Breathing in, breathing out. Come back center. Shoulder rolls forward, shoulder rolls back. We're going to take an inhalation. We're going to reach up. And if you want to turn this into a back bend, so I'm sitting forward in my chair, I'm looking up, but I'm allowing those fingertips to sweep the ceiling as my gaze follows those fingertips. My shoulder blades go up and over my waist. And I just feel length, pubic bone to collarbone. Arms come straight up. I look center, and then I exhale down. My palms turn down. So we're just going to do that a couple times. If you just want to elongate, go for it. If you want to look up and turn it into a back bend, go for it. But that back bend happens because you're elongating through the lats. The shoulder blades go up and over and then coming back down. So work with your own breath and your own time. Do a couple more, breathing in. Maybe just get the length. Maybe take it into a back bend. But don't do that by pushing the pubic bone forward. It's a lengthening effect. The base of the sternum to the top of the sternum. The head follows the action of the spine. Yeah, and good. And then whenever you're ready, do some shoulder rolls just to kind of see what's going on here. I'm going to grab the side of the chair leg. My right big toe, my left outer heel is grounded as I just reach up and over doing a side stretch toward this side. So my head just followed the action of the spine on a diagonal, but it didn't roll off the sitting bone, nor did the head lead the pose. It just followed the action of the spine. Sitting bone's grounded. And then come to the other side. To make this easier, you can do a fainting arm. You can put your hand here. You can do other variations that seem to serve you better today, and take those. Breathing in, breathing out for the side stretch. Good. Now we're going to come across and do a nice spinal twist. My elbows are going to be wide. My back hand can either rest if I'm on a couch or support, or just loop across the back of the chair, but let it rest wherever it feels comfortable. Ears, shoulders, hips in alignment. I'm going to breathe in. I'm going to lengthen. As I breathe out, and I know this is different, I'm going to take this hip and I'm just going to move that sitting bone slightly forward as I twist here. And with that knee coming slightly forward, I think it just feels better on my back. Breathing in, lengthening, breathing out, twisting. So it feels more like a spinal twist instead of that you're breaking. I just think it's an interesting thing to play with. Good. And then slowly unwind. We're going to take the other arm and bring it across. Now my inner elbows move apart, and I just take a minute here, right big toe, left outer heel, inhale, lengthen, exhale, twist. And I'm just going to allow this knee to track forward now too. So my hip follows the action. It feels a little bit better, I think. I got to make sure that I'm not popping my ribs as I twist. So it's just an inhale, lengthen, exhale, ribs knit together. Good. My chin is mostly in front of my chest. It's just following the action of the spine. Slowly come back center. Take your arms into zombie arms. My wrists are a little lower than my shoulders. Adding the hands is going to make this a little bit trickier. We're going to take a breath in. all I'm doing is hip hinging to the point where I feel my obliques kick in. So I didn't go very far. I didn't go very far at all, but here I feel my obliques kick in and I just feel that wind tunnel effect. Feel your right big toe, left outer heel grounded, and then come back center, take a breath, hip hinge forward, arms reach forward from serratus, ribs are back, feel the hip hinge, and then come back center and do that a couple more times, just working with your range. It's not very far. We're just feeling the core turn on. Your gaze is soft at your fingertips so that you have that nice natural cervical spine curve. If you tuck your chin, you'll be flattening it out. Good. Nice. And then slowly come up, do some shoulder rolls forward and back. Okay, we're going to go back to where we started with this and see if our shoulders have opened up a little bit more. Let's look at the mechanics. So I'm going to come back to the back of my chair. I took my blocks with me, so my ankles are underneath my knees. My knees are tracking over my second and third toe. I'm just going to turn my head side to side. And I notice it's still a little sticky on one side. Is anybody noticing the range is a little bit better?
Yes.
Okay, good. There's one more that I want to do for that range. We're just going to start with that massaging the top of the ear. So just take one ear, massage the top of the ear, and then we're going to work our way down the entire side of the ear, all the way to the lobe, massaging. Good. And when you get to the lobe, you're going to tug down toward the shoulder and then pull out. And then when you get to the top of the ear, draw it toward the ceiling. Good. And then now turn your head to that side. You're going to notice your range changed a little bit. Yeah. Acupressure points. So massage the top, massage all the way down the side of the ear to the lobe. And then when you get to the lobe, pull down, pull out a few times, tugging the outside of the lobe of the ear toward the wall, tugging up toward the ceiling as you get to the top of the ear. And now turn your head to that side. My range is crazy on that side, which was my tight side. Interlace the hands together, take a breath, and then send your palms toward me and your ribs back toward the back of the chair. My gaze is soft. I notice a lot that I tend to look down at the floor, which flattens my curve. So I'm starting to, whenever possible, turn my gaze up and just notice that it doesn't really create neck tension. I just think it's a default to just kind of look down and flatten that curve. My ribs move back, my gaze is soft forward, my neck curve is long, and I'm just letting my ribs come back. Good. And then slowly come up or reverse. So it's the awkward twist, turn the palms away. It's the awkward clasp, ribs move away, gaze is soft, breathe into that stretch. And I can really feel that broadness across my back body between the shoulder blades. And then slowly come back up. Shoulder rolls forward and back. Good. Now we're going to go back to that test that we started at the beginning. So we're going to take a breath in. We're going to scoop up. We're going to touch the top of our shoulders. As we come up and around, my thumbs go down. I'm going to cross one forearm on top of the other. And that mechanic, I can even tell on this side is easier. So now I'm going to check the other side. Coming around and crossing the other way.